Hi everybody, happy fall. Again, my name is Amanda. I'm an actor and artist in Los Angeles, and I am back today to show you some of my favorite fall crafts. So two things we're gonna be making today. One involves jazzing up a pillar candle that looks pretty ordinary and plain, but that you can create a fall theme with. And the other one is creating a little pumpkin that you can kind of play around with and get creative. So first things first, we will start with the candle. So I went ahead and got an LED candle. You can get these at Target or Michael's or Amazon. I only got a fake one because I want to be able to reuse this every year and possibly use it outside. And that way, because I live in California, it gets pretty hot, and even in the fall. So I don't want a real candle outside because it will melt. I have made that mistake before. So ordinary candle, and then I went ahead and got a big old jug here of cinnamon sticks. I use them for baking, obviously, and different fall drinks and things, but also for crafts. So I just have a big handful of these. I'm not sure how many I'm gonna need yet, but just have a good stock of them and play around with the design, and I'll show you what that is right now. So I'm going to be gluing them all along the bottom here, and you're going to want a hot glue gun that you have many extra sticks, but I'm going to be gluing them all along the bottom here. And if you are using a real candle, by the time it gets down a little further, then it'll start to have that cinnamon smell, and it'll be a really nice touch for your home, or probably where you guys are, outside too. But yeah, I'm gonna glue them along the bottom, and then you can also do them in the middle. You can play with the heights and kind of create your own pattern, be creative, but yeah, have fun with it. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing, and I'm gonna get a plate under here so I don't get it all over the counter. But just 2 dabs of glue. And make sure you get a good bead of glue on there on each, and it's okay, you know, if it's a little messy. We're going to trim that up later and tidy it up. All right, so pretty easy, pretty basic. And if it starts to slide or anything, we're gonna tighten it up later. I have some twine here that is going to be used as a decoration, so keep that off to the side. If you choose to use that, you can use bows, you can use anything you want. Like I said, get creative, do something fun, but I'm gonna stick with just twine and cinnamon sticks for now. So let's go ahead and glue this up. Try not to burn yourself. All right, so I'm gonna create this pattern going all the way around, and go kind of slow so that by the time you get to the other side, these ones will be dry. But again, play with levels, play with sizes. If you want to cut the cinnamon sticks, you can also do like little short ones, or you could even cut them and double them up so that they go all the way to the top. You can do it double like that so that it kind of is sunken down. Your choice. But I'm gonna go ahead and do this and get back to you in a minute. All right, so I just finished gluing my cinnamon sticks on, and as you can see, it kind of gives it a little log look. Very rustic, very fall, and smells amazing. So I made sure to go nice and slow so that they didn't slide and they had time to dry. And you know, again, if you want to use a real candle, great. Just know that it is going to start burning down into the cinnamon, and it'll probably just smell good and maybe get a little messy, so make sure you have something underneath it. But the LED candles, you can put them outside. You can have them on timers, some of them have. up on a mantle or around the house. And I'll just turn mine on to show you guys what that looks like. But we're not quite done. So I want to take my twine, I'm gonna turn that off. So this is available at any craft store and on Amazon. Not sure how much I'm gonna need yet, but I will cut that. And this will also help secure it and make sure none of these fall off. But I'm gonna wrap it around 2 times. All right, and then make a little bow. And you can pull it a little tight and just make sure that everything is tight, secure, but not too tight because you don't want them to start popping off. All right, I'll tie my little bow and fix it how I want here. All right, and then I'm just gonna trim it, and that's it. We're all done, and it gives it an extra little touch. You can add ribbons, you can add like a burlap bow, that would look good, or glue little leaves or stickers on here. It's up to you. Basically use whatever you have in your craft box, have some fun with it. But for me, I liked it just kind of a uniform order. And again, you can get these at the grocery store or online, just a big thing of cinnamon sticks, and you can also buy them in little jars. But this one actually saved me some money just because it was such a big pack. So there is our little rustic, delicious smelling fall candle. And even if you don't use a real candle with a real flame, this still smells so good. Cinnamon is truly my favorite scent. So just to be pulling that out of the box was like amazing. So there's our first one all done, and we will move on to the second one. All right, we are on to my favorite craft. I make it every fall. I have made it for friends and family. I have them all over my house. Pumpkins out of mason jar lids. So these can be the large or small, it doesn't matter. And it really doesn't matter how many you have, just however many you can find, and you can work with it. And they'll just be spaced a little further apart or a little closer together. But I went ahead and gathered whatever I had in my house and painted them. All right, now that I have mine all painted, I just wanted to make a quick note that I do have some little imperfections in here. I sprayed the first coat, or the first side. I let it sit until it was completely dry. Sprayed the other side, and it still was slightly tacky because I used spray paint. So just these little imperfections in here. I just will take the spray paint later on a paper plate or in a little bowl, and then dab my finger in there and go along any places that might have gotten chipped. Now the paint that I use is a Rust-Oleum. It sticks to wood, plastic, or metal, and since these are metal, I really like using this stuff. You don't have to use orange. You could use black for a little spooky look. You could use white. A lot of people just have white spray paint. Use that. Then you can get a little chic pumpkin, or you can leave it rustic and not paint it at all. Then you get the color of the metal bands. Especially the gold ones look really cool, and some of these are actually gold, so it'll look kind of neat if I do leave them. But you don't have to. Use what you have fun with it, get creative. Now, we're going to assemble our pumpkin. Now, a little bit of trial and error in this. It doesn't always come easy to put them all together. Sometimes it works perfectly. Sometimes it takes a few tries. But I'm going to be using my twine again that I used for the last project, and another cinnamon stick because they smell so amazing that I just have to use them in everything. But I went ahead and cut a little stem for my pumpkin. You can use a saw, or if you don't want to get that intense with it, you can use like tin snips or just scissors, or just snap it in your hand. This was a really thick one, so I just needed to use a blade. But we are going to get all of these together. And I'm just gonna start stacking them and kind of wrapping them in my hand like this. And you can already see it's starting to make a little bit of a pumpkin shape. So the further we go along, the more difficult this is going to be to hold on to, especially with small hands. But we're gonna do our best and just go with it. So layer them all up. Keep your glue gun hot. We're gonna be using it at the end if you're gonna be doing these back to back, but definitely have that ready to go so that it can be the finishing touch on the project. Okay, so I have about a dozen lids here. I just used whatever I had in the house, whatever I could find, because I always keep them around. I always find uses for them. You can do all sorts of crafts, and you can make a bunch of these if you want. And let me tell you, when people see them in your house, they immediately will say, can you make me one of those? Or how did you make it? This is how. So you've got all the rings here, and it doesn't quite look like a pumpkin yet, but I'm gonna take the string, and this is the kind of tricky parts. All right, and make sure they don't get too crazy, but I'm going to tie that tight enough so that it stays in place and doesn't make it too loose. The lid's too loose, but not so tight that I can't move the lids around. So I'm just gonna tie a little knot right there. All right. Hang on. Got my fingers all caught in there. All right. So this part I've had trouble with in the past on the first few that I made, just getting it to be the right tightness. And the good thing about twine and having a whole roll of it is I can try again. If it doesn't work the first time, you can cut the twine, start over. All right, so this is a little loose, like I said, but once you pull it all together, I'm gonna cut the twine and just fan it out. Try to fit the pieces into one another like that. And it may not be perfect, and that is okay. We are making perfectly imperfect pumpkins. Okay, so I have my pumpkin shape. Let's see if I can show you. Oh, see, it's a little loose. But that's basically what we're going for. But another thing that's gonna hold this together is the cinnamon stick, which I will show you in a second. But I am going to tie one more piece of twine in there just to get it really secure. And trial and error, just keep going. You don't like it? You don't like the way it looks? Do it again. Right, that'll give it a little extra security here. And you can probably see I'm getting some little marks just from moving these around so much, but that's why it's good to just do your touch-ups after and don't worry about being super perfect the first time around. All right, so okay, so after a slight mishap, the pumpkin is assembled. I did not wrap the twine around enough, and this is kind of old twine and it's very thin. So maybe wrap it around a couple extra times so that it doesn't break and go all over the place, especially if you're trying to show other people how to do it. All right, so we're gonna move on. I have my glue gun and I have the little piece of cinnamon stick that I cut off. And this, just be real careful not to drip too much paint down in there, but you wanna get a nice big glob of glue right on the end. And be real careful because it's gonna drip. And just stick it right in the middle. It'll push those out a little bit, and we're gonna let it sit just until the glue dries, until you can pick it up a little bit by the cinnamon stick. So let it dry, and you'll have your pumpkin, and I'll show it to you in a couple minutes when mine is all set. Okay, we are done. I waited about 5 minutes. I can lift it up by the stem. Don't be too aggressive with it because it will come out. But if it does come out after storing it for the rest of the year, or if this loosens up or anything like that, very easily fixable. A few dabs of glue. I usually have to do it every year after putting it in a bin, but I'll do the little touch-ups later on the imperfections. But we have our cute little mason jar lid pumpkin, and it looks good pretty much anywhere in your house. And if you use the smaller ones, you can put them in like bathrooms and add little touches of fall here and there. You could have them outside if you wanted to. But the big ones are pretty cool too. I put those more on display as the main setting. But we have our fall candle. That smells so good, even though it's fake. I'm telling you, that smells amazing. And our little mason jar lid pumpkin. So hope you guys enjoyed, and trial and error. Just remember, keep going. All of this is really easily fixable, especially after storing it for the rest of the year. So have your hot glue gun handy for when you pull these out next fall. See you next time.